Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Coffee with Katie. Today's video is going to be my October TBR. Let's just go. The first one that is an anticipated release, so I've already talked about that in my anticipated release video, but also just very excited to start, is The Alchemy of Secrets by Stephanie Garber. The release date is fastly approaching and I'm so excited. This is a dark academia novel where the main character starts in this old theater where this class is being held and it's like local myths and folklore. And the main character believes in magic even though other people do not. And she hopes that it's real, wants it to be real, until she meets the Watchman, and he's said to be able to predict people's deaths. And she's so excited, believes in magic, thinks that it's so cool that it's real, until he tells her that she's going to die tomorrow unless she can find this magical artifact, and she gets tied into a bunch of web of potentially other magical beings, and everyone is kind of lying to her that knows about the society, and she's trying to survive, and it sounds so good. And it's her adult debut. Can't wait. And then we have The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. This one is like Legally Blonde, but instead of going to law school, she's going to a military academy to be a knight and to kind of win back her jilted lover who didn't propose even though she wanted him to. And she's a princess. So she flounces out to kind of train for battle and all of these things. And a warrior that kind of is like, you're real cute, but also you look ridiculous sauntering out here trying to learn how to fight, but he tries to teach her anyway. And there's more threats to the kingdom. But I think all you need to know about this is that it's basically Legally Blonde retelling. I'm so excited. It sounds so good. Another one that I would like to read is actually for NetGalley. I got an audio arc of this, so I need to get it read and up. And that is Dragon Fires Everywhere by Hazel Black. This is actually book 4 in the Witch Lore series, but I think you can read them all independently. That's what I'm going to be doing. This one kind of caught my attention. It sounded really interesting. It says, when a witch plays with fire, she might just ignite a love that can't be extinguished. Newly minted historian of the soon-to-be ascended Riverwood Coven, Georgie Pendle has always played her part. So why does she feel like an outsider in her own life? Duped and dumped by her boyfriend, Georgie finds herself dismissing love as a fairy tale. But when the words she reads aloud from an enchanted storybook free a dragon shifter, everything changes. Georgie finds herself drawn to the dragon in ways she didn't think were even possible for her. And her dragon, with his fiery golden gaze, all but claims Georgie as his own. But beneath his scorching intensity lies a secret, one that stretches back into the ancient past. With the Joywood Coven still finding ways to upend the new order of the witching world, Georgie and her coven will need to prove themselves up to the task of being in charge, and right the wrongs their predecessors committed if they can uncover the truth. Because something is missing. Something that will stop the Joywood once and for all. Something that only a historian with an ancient dragon can find. It sounds cute and good, you know? And there's dragons. The next one I just really need to get to because it's a duology and I read the first book, so I just really need to complete it. And that's Rebel Witch by Kristen Ciccarelli. I enjoyed the first book in the Crimson Moth series. I feel like Heartless Hunter or Crimson Moth, depending on where you're located, it's called 2 different things. But this is the second book of the duology, so it's going to complete the series and I need to just complete it. And it's witchy, so that feels on vibe for October. The first one, you're following a witch and a witch hunter, and they kind of are maybe falling for each other, but he doesn't know she's a witch, and there's lots of other plots involved with it. I don't want to like spoil anything for you, but it was an interesting story. I liked it. I want to know what happens in book 2. And then the next one I want to read is, this has been a hot minute, but I've been thinking about this series recently and how there's just so many books and I need to continue the series, and that's the Fae Guardian series by Lana Pekarchek. And I'm only in the season of the wolf, and I want to kind of just add one of these in every month to catch up to eventually finish the series when she's done writing The Crows, which she's published the first book, so it's just a matter of time. So there's a lot of books right now, but I'm at least going to keep continuing them. So I read The Longing of Lone Wolves a while ago, which is the first book in this series, but also the first book in the like set of the season of the wolf. And I need to continue. It was kind of like a fantasy romance, apocalyptic, Witcher-inspired book. So I'm curious to see how the story continues. I do think there's an overarching plot that I'm not sure where it's going yet because I've only read the first book. So I will be curious to see how the story unfolds individually and then in the overall world. Book 2 is The Solace of Sharp Claws. It's following Thorn, who was the child of the wolf in the first book, but he's like an adult now. Thorn's anger was a weapon as much as his claws. He was kind of, he was abandoned. He was taken in by his uncle, who was a bad guy. A lot of things happened. He's just been mistreated. And now he's a vicious Fey guardian. He hunts monsters, the human enemy, and anything that gets in his way. On a mission to find his missing mentor, Thorn finds himself suddenly mated to Laurel, a beautiful, driven, but damaged human, awoken from a time long since past. A forced marriage is something neither of them want, but everything they need. Spending time with her teaches him that arm's length might not be a good thing. Learning to love will mean scratching the surface of both their souls, revealing truths more painful than any wound. If he can get past the hurt, the pain, the pride, Thorn will find a new use for his claws, to bury deep and never let go. But when a dark figure from Laurel's past catches up with her, it's not Thorn's claws in question, it's hers. If he can't stop her from exacting bitter revenge, she'll cost him the safety of his mentor and perhaps trigger a war. If he can learn to put his angry past behind him, open his heart and trust new friends, he just might be rewarded with more than an advantage in their ongoing war. He'll find love. So, I want to continue this series, and this is the next one. I really want to get to like the vampires and the crows, but that you have to read them in order, I believe, so we're doing that. And then last but not least, we'll do a shelf pick this time. I've been off and on doing this. I'm bad about being consistent with it. And I've been unhauling some books, so it also may not be up to date necessarily. I've been I tried to update it recently, and I think it's up to date. We'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and draw one. And just hope for the best. So we got The Winner's Curse. Let me get that real quick. So I have the Illumicrate editions of The Winner's Curse by Marie Rukowski. This is a older YA series that's pretty hyped actually, and Illumicrate just did these really cool editions, so I got them at one point. I've heard really good things about this series, but I don't actually remember what it's about. I think it's a competition. Let's see. So looking up the synopsis, it says, winning what you want may cost you everything you love. As a general's daughter in a vast empire that revels in war and enslaves those it conquers, 17-year-old Kestrel has two choices. She can join the military or get married. But Kestrel has other intentions. One day, she is startled to find a kindred spirit and a young slave up for auction. Arin's eyes seem to defy everything and everyone. Following her instinct, Kestrel buys him with unexpected consequences. It's not long before she has to hide her growing love for Arin, but he too has a secret, and Kestrel quickly learns that the price she paid for a fellow human is much higher than she ever could have imagined. Set in a richly imagined new world, Winner's Curse is a story of deadly games where everything's at stake, and the gamble is whether you will keep your head or lose your heart. I'm excited! I feel like it's very vague and it doesn't really give you what it's about, but I'm excited to read it, because I've been wanting to read these for a while. If you've read them, let me know what you think, without spoilers, of course. Well, those are all the books that I'm planning on reading in October. I'd love to know a book you're planning on reading in October if you want to leave it in a comment down below. But if not, just leave me a pumpkin emoji. But for now, that is it for today's video. Please like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time. Stay safe and caffeinated. Bye.